Hi, I'm Dr. Brent Vaughn, and it's my pleasure this morning to be able to spend a few minutes to talk to you about transfer factors. Give you a quick little introduction about what they are, what we know about them so far, and then we'll kind of wrap up by talking about some of our core transfer factor products to kind of give you a good little footing on what transfer factors are and how 4Life uses them in various products. This will kind of give you a base for when we talk about the rest of the products later on in the program. So let's dive in with Transfer Factors 101. This is going to be a really brief run through on what transfer factors are, kind of the real basics. Understand there's a lot more here that we're not talking about, and there's a lot more that we just don't know about. We're still learning a lot about these amazing little molecules. So let's start off with the basics. Transfer factors are small proteins, more correctly referred to as peptides. They are produced by your white blood cells. So this is something that your immune system is making every single day. It's one of the ways that immune cells communicate with each other. Now you see here listed down as a 3.5 to 12 kilodaltons in size. Now that probably doesn't mean much to most people. A kilodalton is a way that we measure the size of molecules, things that are really, really, really small. And so these are actually on the very small side of molecules. For a comparison, you look at immunoglobulins, antibodies, things that we're hearing a lot about these days. These are about 1/10 the size of those compounds. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a reference to just how small these are. Small enough that there are trillions of them in every single capsule of our transfer factor products. And as I mentioned, these are part of the way that immune cells communicate. Immune cells have a number of ways of talking with each other. And those compounds vary in terms of stimulating or calming down the immune response, attracting other immune cells to them. But transfer factors are unique. They provide specific information to your immune cells. So they're a way that the immune cells say, look, this is specifically what you're after. This is what I have seen, what you need to keep an eye out for, what we need to get rid of. And that's different from all of the other things you see, both coming from your immune cells and in terms of immune support products in the marketplace. They're just general, non-specific stimulants. Transfer factors educate. And it's that education that makes all the difference in gauging how your immune system responds to it. It's not just a sudden bump up and stimulation of immune response. It's an awareness. And when they come in contact with what they've been educated towards, then there's a bump in immune response. That's when the activity goes up. Big difference there between what transfer factors do and what everything else does. I put these flowers in here as kind of a way to help you understand what transfer factors are. Now, here we're kind of looking at the structure of transfer factors. And I like the flower analogy because I think it works really well. Every flower out there has one kind of similar characteristic across every flower. Doesn't matter whether it's a tropical flower from the northern climates to the Arctic, whatever it might be, all flowers kind of have a stem, right? They have this piece more or less straight. Maybe it has a couple leaves on it. Doesn't matter the number of leaves or the shape, whatever, but you've got this stem that connects the flower to the plant. Transfer factors have this stem piece. Call it a conserved region. It is consistent across all transfer factor molecules. But then you have this flower on top, and that flower can vary widely. You've got really tiny ones with just a few petals, or giant flowers that have many, many petals, different colors, different shapes, all that kind of stuff. And that's transfer factor molecules. You have that flower on top, this highly specific area. Right? This is what describes to the immune cells what it's looking for. And so you have all this variety, which takes up about 2/3 of the molecule. And so you have that conserved piece, the stem, and then the flower on top, which provides that specific information to your immune cells. So this has a couple of effects. One, it's helping the immune cells better recognize threats. One of the things the immune system spends a lot of time on is recognizing. It needs to make sure that whatever it's seen is, one, a threat, and two, it's not you. It doesn't belong inside of you. And so it takes a fair bit of time. It can take a couple days, even up to a week or two, for the immune system to really kind of make up its mind on whether or not something is a threat. And so a lot of energy goes into that, and transfer factors aid in that process by kind of shortening the window on that and identifying up front those things that are a threat to your immune system. This kind of has two big effects. One, it can stimulate the immune system. Again, that stimulation only takes place when it comes in contact with that threat. Just like you go to school, you learn something, it doesn't necessarily change your behavior right then and there. But when you come in contact with something, or when you have an opportunity to use that education, then your behavior is changed. Same thing goes for your immune system. So you get a stimulation in response to what they've been educated toward. The other aspect of this is kind of a redirection. Just like you and I, sometimes we get distracted, mind goes off somewhere else, and we kind of lose focus on what it is we're really supposed to be doing. Immune system can sometimes happen as well, and transfer factors are there to kind of help refocus the immune system, bring it back into that area where it's focusing on what it needs to and not being distracted by other things. And kind of the last point here is this education lasts as long as your immune cells do. That kind of depends on the type of immune cell and its function as to how long that might be. Most immune cells live for about 90 to 120 days, 3 to 4 months. Some live many years, some live just a few weeks. But kind of that's the average there, the middle ground for it. And so every 3 to 4 months, you're changing your immune system. You're essentially creating a brand new immune system. Now, every day, new cells are born and old cells die off. And transfer factors can aid in this process by helping to educate those new immune cells so that overall, you maintain a very consistent level of education across the entire immune system. So let's take a step out a little bit and talk about what transfer factors are for life. We get our transfer factors from two main sources. The first one is coming from colostrum from cows. Now, colostrum is that first milk that mammals produce the first 1 to maybe 3 days after delivery. This is a highly concentrated in immune compounds liquid, and it's different from the milk that the baby gets the rest of the time that it's nursing for the 1 to 2 years beyond that. And it's different than the milk you're buying at the grocery store. Colostrum is really concentrated in immune compounds and things to kind of help protect that newborn infant from all the things that it's now been kind of thrust into and exposed to that it didn't have to deal with yesterday. And so we take that colostrum and it goes through just a simple filtration process that you can see on the slide here. No chemicals involved, nothing gets changed. All we're doing is taking out those big proteins and fats and other things that are in the colostrum and concentrating down those tiny peptides, those small proteins that are transfer factors. Now, we also get transfer factors from chicken egg yolks. It's done through a similar process, not quite as detailed as this one, but still the same thing. We're concentrating those transfer factors from the egg yolk. Now, there's a difference there. Obviously, cows have the opportunity to continue to nurse their children, for the calves, for a number of months afterwards. Chickens, it's all got to be in the yolk, right? Once that egg hatches, the chick is on its own. Mother does not provide any additional immune education to that chick after it has hatched. And so the yolk is where all of that is stored. And then for us, we use a membrane that separates everything below that 10,000 Dalton range. So kind of right there at the top end of what transfer factors have been defined to be. And that's it. It's just filters. It's really simple. It's a mechanical process. No chemical changes. No chemicals are added to anything in it. So we have our Trifactor Blend, which takes the colostrum transfer factors, the egg transfer factors, and then another compound we call nanofactor, if I get the right word here. So nanofactor is also from cow colostrum, and it is about half the size of your transfer factor molecules. Now, you lose that specific information when you go down that small. However, there does appear to be a slightly different immune effect with these nanofactor molecules. Kind of more of a coordination type effect is probably the best way to describe that. And so you have the two sources of transfer factors, and then you have the nanofactors in there, and that's what we call our Trifactor Blend. And so that gives you education from 2 different types of transfer factors, 2 different sources, as well as some benefits for their overall immune system function and coordination from the nanofactor molecules. So I've said a lot of things. We've been through a bunch. Here are the points that you really need to kind of take home. These are your things to remember. First of all, one of the things that makes transfer factors unique, especially in the marketplace, is that this is something that your immune cells are making right now. They've been making them all day. They've been making them every day that you've been alive. This is one of the ways that your immune cells talk to each other. And so everything else out there, whether it's a vitamin or an herb, they can all have effects. And vitamins are required nutrients for your immune cells to function, but they're not made by your immune cells. And echinacea, some of those other things, obviously are not things that your immune system makes either. And so a very distinguishing point for transfer factors. That specificity that we talked about, that's a big differentiating factor for transfer factors as well, right? You're getting specific information from them. It's not just, hey, wake up, go to work. It's look for this. Pay attention to this particular characteristic. And so your immune cells are alerted, but not necessarily activated or stimulated. They're just being more observant of their environment, right? A lot of ways like the wanted poster that days gone by you might have seen at the post office. Right? It's going to give you some characteristics: hair color, eye color, tattoos. Those are kind of the things the transfer factors are conveying to your immune cells. Right? You see that poster, you're not suddenly scared and worried and running around trying to look at everyone, whatever. But if you happen to be in the grocery store later that day and you see that hairstyle or that tattoo, now your activity level goes up, right? Now you begin that response. And that's the same thing with transfer factors. That's why that specific information is so important. And that's the focus is kind of that main result of all this, right? So it keeps your immune cells looking for those things that are known threats. Keeps your immune system focused on keeping things out that shouldn't be there. And maybe helps keep it from going other ways and getting distracted with things that really don't pose a threat to your health. We didn't talk a lot about this other than it comes from colostrum, but kind of the secondary or a corollary to the fact that this comes out of nature's first food, right? Something that every mammal is given within minutes or hours of birth, is that makes it pretty safe. And if it's safe enough for a newborn infant, shouldn't be much of a problem for those of us that are a couple days beyond that. I know it fits for me at least. And so to kind of wrap it up, we like to use what we call the 3 R's in helping you remember what functions transfer factors provide. First, as we talked about, they help help the immune system recognize those things that are a threat. And that's a big deal because your immune system spends a lot of time making sure that that recognition is done right and that it doesn't misidentify, either missing it altogether or incorrectly saying something healthy is a threat. Once that recognition piece is taken care of, then it can go into the response phase, right? Now your immune system is there to respond to it. It's been educated about what it is, so it knows what kind of response is necessary for it. It also knows when that response needs to come to an end. And so that helps to refine, kind of improve the efficiency of how the immune system deals with these threats. And then lastly is the remember portion of it. Remember is key because that's what keeps us healthy long term. A good example here is something like chickenpox. Something we get once in our lifetime and usually not again. And that's not because you're not exposed to it again. It's because your immune system remembers it from that first time. And the next time it sees it, it's already able to deal with it, and it takes care of it before it ever makes you sick a second time. And so remembrance is key for the way that the immune system works in being able to help maintain your health and help your immune system be able to handle those things that it has seen in the past. And so that gives you a quick little rundown on what transfer factors are. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about our core transfer factor products. So these are the ones that we look at as daily transfer factor ones. So something out of this next group of products is something that should be in your daily routine to help make sure that you're educating your immune system day in and day out, getting those brand new immune cells educated so that they help maintain your overall health. And so the first three of these we're going to talk about starts off with Transfer Factor Classic. This is the product that 4Life was founded with. It's been with us from day one. And this is just simply the transfer factors from cow colostrum. It's the most basic, simplest, and kind of gentlest of our transfer factor products. Taking a step up from that goes into the Trifactor formula, where we add in the transfer factors from the egg yolk and the nanofactor molecules into it. So giving you that complete one where you get the synergies between the two sources of transfer factors. And then at the top is our Transfer Factor Plus product, which takes that Trifactor Blend and adds to it some of the other ones you might see in the marketplaces. And you're getting some olive leaf, some IP6 and zinc, and some other of those key ingredients in there to kind of help strengthen the immune system. So I like to look at this one as kind of, you got the education, that intelligence from the transfer factors, but now you've kind of got some muscle to go with it. You've given it some things to strengthen and to boost your immune cells, and now not only do you have a strong immune system, you have a smart immune system, right? It's not just a dumb brute going around knocking over all the china. It's someone who has the strength and can use it appropriately and knows when to use it. Those are the core ones, and then we add into it the Rio Verde Lime. This has a number of products within it. Started off with the juice, and this is the Trifactor Blend again. But this time we've added into it some superfruits, some high antioxidant berries and other fruits to kind of complement the benefits of transfer factors. You can get it in a juice, you can get it in a gel, or in a convenient to carry stick pack if you want to just take it on a plane or somewhere else, assuming you ever get to fly again. Then that's just an easy portable way to do it. And then the chews are the newest form. The hardest part with the chews here is not eating the whole bag in one sitting. Those are just some delicious little things, and a great way to kind of share the Rio Verde and transfer factor story, and something that, yeah, it takes a little bit of self-control to just limit yourself to a couple a day. So to kind of help you decipher which product might be best for you, you can kind of see here in this table some of the differences between them, the simple stuff, how many capsules or how much transfer factor is in each one. And you can kind of see from our natural killer cell assay the different levels in activity. And it goes up. It starts off just over 200 with the classic, to almost 300 with the Trifactor, and then well over 400 for the Transfer Factor Plus. And you have some of the allergen warnings there. If that's an issue for you, pay attention to those. Make sure you're getting a product that's safe for you to consume. And so that kind of wraps it up for our transfer factor introduction and our core transfer factor products. Hopefully that got you some good information to start off with, and hang tight. We'll be back a little bit later to talk about more of the 4Life products and kind of give you just a really brief overview of everything we have to offer. Thanks.